This is, okay, so we have an interesting situation here because we usually do open forum. I see that we have a number of people here for open forum. We have a number of cards. We usually start open forum at 8:30. I think we'll still be going at 8:30, so if anyone's not planning to get here till 8:30, we're probably okay. Let's see. We have 9 cards. Yeah, so we'll still be going at 8:30. The way open forum works, for those of you who haven't been here during this, during the time that we do open forum, is everyone has 3 minutes to come up and make a statement, everyone who submitted a card. When you come up to make your statement, you make sure the microphone is on, you state your name and where you live, and then you make your statement. Since the item you may be talking about is not agendized, that's why you're speaking in open forum, we cannot comment on it. We will listen, but we cannot make comments because it's not an agendized item. So I just want everyone to realize that we will listen very carefully to what you have to say, but we can't talk tonight about it. Okay? And so why don't we start with Britt Brown, to be followed by Trina Gogarty, to be followed by Jordan Heising. If you can get ready to speak, then that sort of moves things along. Do we have Britt Brown here? Coming up.
The light's on. You don't need to turn it on.
Okay, you don't need to touch the microphone, but you just need to introduce yourself. And you have 3 minutes. You have a yellow light when your time is starting to count down.
Started, or do you start?
We're starting it.
All right. So, hello, my name is Britt Brown, and I'm a nationally board certified 4th grade teacher at Nixon Elementary School. I've been teaching for 15 years. I am here today because I deeply care about our students and the school district. I grew up in Palo Alto and I attended Palo Alto schools. Both my mother and father worked for the Palo Alto Unified School District, and my daughter now has just started kindergarten at Nixon. I've seen this district continue to evolve throughout the years, keeping current research and best practices at the forefront of our vision. I come to the board today with a heavy heart, feeling that considering larger class sizes, by doing this we are quickly sliding down a slippery slope in the wrong direction, away from excellence and toward mediocrity. When I first taught 4th grade in the mid-90s, I had over 30 students. I vividly remember what that was like, and I do not want to go back to that. I came to the profession of elementary education with the desire to teach children the academic and life skills they will need to succeed in life, and to provide them the first-class education that the district touts. With 30 students in my classroom, I was incapable of doing that effectively. With 30 students in my class and a range of student needs, the reality that year, and many years that I had over 30, was that students lacked the quality instructional time with me, their teacher. At the end of each frustrating day, I would pledge to myself that the next day would be different, and each subsequent day, it sadly wasn't. I continually conferred with my colleagues about additional strategies to manage the numbers. Despite attempting all of our best teaching practices, we all felt that our efforts were futile. The numbers were stacked against us, and most importantly, were stacked against the students. Let me contrast this with the individualized focus my students have experienced so far this week. Yesterday during Reader's Workshop, my 4 spelling groups consisting of 5 students each got to meet with me in a small group setting to receive special instruction at their precise stage of spelling development. During today's Reader's Workshop, I again met with each student in a small group setting to do guided reading and instruct each student on areas of needed focus at their stage of reading development. During tomorrow's math lab, I will be able to meet with each student in a small group for 20 minutes as they rotate through specially designed stations created to challenge, deepen, and extend their mathematical reasoning, again, exactly at their stage of mathematical development. Do we want to go back to the age of students? Please take out your workbooks and turn to page 5. This is the direction I feel our district would be moving toward by increasing class size close to 30 students again. This would move away from our vision of providing first-class education to all students. I want to continue to teach in Palo Alto for the rest of my teaching career. I love teaching. I love the kids I teach. I have always loved this district. I hope we can work together to get through these challenging financial times and stay focused on those who truly matter most, our students. They deserve to receive first-class education with small class sizes, with qualified, experienced teachers. I have 1 sentence. Okay.
Just complete your sentence.
All right. who have the ability to provide personalized, differentiated instruction. Elementary classrooms close to 30 is not first class, and our students deserve better.
Thank you.
All right.
Trina Kogerty, to be followed by Jordan Heising. Can I please ask that we don't clap or cheer or anything? We need this to be a very safe environment for anybody to voice their opinions, and so we try not to have any emotional things going on in the audience.
Jordan isn't here yet, so you might want to move her to the bottom of the pile.
Okay. Trina Kogerty to be followed by Margot Whitsom.
Okay. As Britt was saying, in the 1980s and the early 1990s, classrooms had 27 to 28 students, and in some years more. High school classes numbered in the 30s. And at the same time, these large classrooms had 12 to 14, and at some schools, 19 hours of aid time per week to help give students more adult interaction time. Then class size reduction began in the mid-90s and expanded in 2002. With classes of 20 to 1, aid time was gradually cut to its current 5 hours a week, and in the high schools, clerical aid support was cut. Small classes are good. Interaction with an adult has long-time benefits to a child's education. A generation of students have reaped these benefits. Other good changes that have come about in the last 15 years. Instead of whole class lectures, teachers practice small group differentiated instruction, as Britt described so well just before me. There's been a lot more mainstreaming of special ed students, and all inclusion programs have begun. We now have response to intervention to help 100% of our students achieve. We have embedded English language instruction. We have Project Cornerstone and Sources of Strength. Dr. Skelly spoke earlier about cuts in state funding that have led to increases in class size. And across the district, there are now 124 elementary classes at 23 or 24 or 25 students. High school calculus classes have 32 or 33 students in them. Last year, the district spent approximately $300,000 on funds called remediation funds to these schools, which paid for more adult time with the students, such as 1 or 2 more hours of aid time per week in those larger classes, or science units team taught with teachers from the Junior Museum and the Palo Alto classroom teachers. We feel that was money very well spent, and it should continue to be spent. In these economic times, we know we don't have 20 to 1 anymore, and kids aren't going to come along in those nice groups of 20 that we had before. But we can support our classrooms the way we did in the 1980s. Somebody gave to me earlier this evening this pile of 120 essays from Gunn High School. And each essay has in-depth, long comments from its teacher. So I asked, how long did it take to look through these 120 essays? And it took 4 to 5 hours. We can do this if we have support. Clerical aid support, graders, readers. If there's a couple of more aid time, 8 hours per week in those elementary classrooms, we can still provide what we've been doing. We don't want to go backwards into the 1980s. Thank you.
Thank you. Margot Whitsom, to be followed by Sherry McDaniel.
Hi, my name is Margot Wixom, and I teach photography at Palo Alto High School. I thought very carefully this weekend, planning to speak, and I brought along 2 newspapers, the front page of the New York Times, with a article about inflated report card for new technologies. That $12 billion is being spent, for schools seeking new technologies and putting all this money into it. And I wanted to talk about like the old and the new of what we're kind of missing in our district. And so this article talks about how there's no really proven results, and the clearinghouse for what works isn't being listened to. And some of the things that do work, like class sizes and longitudinal studies and tutors and staff, are being really overlooked for technology that's being grabbed at to kind of create some kind of resolution to a problem. And so I brought this article along to say what I really implore the board to do is to really stick with some of the old technologies that are proven, like smaller class sizes, tutors. One example at Palo Alto High School is we have study skills classes. They've dropped all the tutors, so you have one teacher with 26 kids. It's not study schools anymore, it's a study hall. There's no way one teacher without tutors can really address the needs of these at-risk students. So the funding for real people, for readers, for graders in the English department, and is what I want to implore you to keep from the old technologies and not overlook for the new. If we're expected to do all the ESLERs and district goals like differentiated learning, what we need to do is rely on staff, real people to help real students. The other article that I brought in was The Wisdom of Steve Jobs, about the new from the San Jose Mercury News. In some of the other classes that are not academics classes, the electives, have really been overlooked and are underfunded and going in a direction that's really heartbreaking for me as an electives teacher. I'll give the example of the foods program at Palo Alto High School. It gets a budget of $2,000 a year to feed those students through the entire year. Constantly they're asked for alternative funding and it's not given. The classes this year have been collapsed and reduced, and some talk of having that program going into a special ed program, which is just shocking as an electives teacher to hear that's how electives are thought about and treated. We have a beautiful orchard and garden to use for real food and to bring that into our foods class, and no real support for that electives program, and it's heartbreaking to see that. I started an arts magazine that won a Columbia University Crown Award this last year. We were denied all funding or support for it in the back to school letters, and so the community doesn't know about it, and this is probably the last year that we'll have it. So I implore you to take the best of the new and support those things, and also take the best of the old and support staff.
Thank you. Sherry McDaniel, to be followed by Katie Talbot.
Do I just begin? Okay. Good evening. I'm Sherry McDaniel. I am a Palo Alto resident, a current parent of a 7th grader. I have 2 older children who've already got through Gunn High School, and I'm a Palo Alto teacher of 24 years and multiple grade levels. I know that everyone is doing the best they can to deal with the current budget issues, and having been in the district for over 20 years, I would urge you in regards to class size to proceed with eyes open and a very full understanding of the expectations on elementary classroom teachers. Based on wanting to be the best teachers that we can be, based on district goals, we plan, implement, and seek professional development in the following areas: guided reading, with all children reading at their specific grade levels and closely monitoring their reading behaviors; writing, math, social studies, science, technology, PE; differentiation, including the development or modification of curriculum in all curricular areas to meet the needs of our highest achievers, our middle achievers, and our lowest or most needy achievers. We work on community building, character building. We attend to the developmental assets. We try to build relationships with all children within our own classrooms and across the school. We have a new shift and focus on ELL, which pulls a lot of planning and implementation of ELL away from an ELL teacher and puts it on the regular classroom teacher. There's RTI, which again adds more planning and implementation of new ways of intervening for children on the classroom teacher. And there's school-wide full inclusion, of which this year I have 2 fully included children in my classroom. And again, that puts more planning and implementation, different ways of doing things. It's taken from the special day teacher and is now in my, parameter. All of these things work very well, but you need to understand they require a lot of planning and a lot of extra meeting and communication time. In addition, we have to be aware of children in our classes who may be having seizures or having severe allergies. We collaborate regularly with our grade level partners. We communicate across grade levels. I teach 5th grade. We also communicate with 6th grade teachers and counselors. We serve on district committees. We serve on school committees. We, beyond formal parent conferences, maintain parent communication about each child. And again, we try to build relationships with each child and get to know them as individuals. And that's something that I want for my son as he continues to move through middle and high school. 24 years ago, when I began working in Palo Alto, I taught 5th grade at Nixon. I routinely had classes of about 28 to 30, but I also had 12 and a half hours of aid time a week, and there was an on-site science teacher who taught 2 of the 3 science units. I only taught 1. We're doing much more, and if we keep raising class sizes without attending to additional time, aid time and planning time within the regular budget instead of just parcel taxes, we are going to create a contradiction between the district's goals and what talented and dedicated teachers are actually able to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Katie Talbot, to be followed by Marie LeGrand, and I just ask you to try to keep your comments within the time limit. Thank you.
I'm Katie Talbot. I live at Stanford, and I have 2 children in the Palo Alto School District, and I want to thank you very much for the lovely education they're getting. They're doing a great job. That great job comes from the small class size. It doesn't come from the beautiful classroom. This is my first board meeting, so it was really eye-opening, and I sat through the presentation with the absolutely eye-popping sums of money. I've been a teacher since about 1997, and we always do our best to save money. I was just shocked at the sums of money that are going through. As a taxpayer, every time, having voted for the parcel tax and having campaigned hard for the parcel tax, I'm offended every time I drive up Churchill Avenue and see what you guys are doing with the baseball field. I'm sorry. My children are in school here. It is critical that my children get educated. The baseball field, the beautiful classrooms are less critical. I taught in classrooms in New York City, and we did a great job teaching those children, and they got a really good education. The classrooms were not pretty. The bathrooms were awful. But everybody did really well, and the key to that was having a small class and getting attention from the teacher. So I ask you guys to really focus on what your primary mission here is, and that's educating the children. It's not passing a bond measure to make beautiful buildings. And I thought everybody else did such a nice job explaining about the small class sizes. I'll quit now. Way ahead of my 3 minutes.
Thank you. Marie LeGrand, to be followed by Annette Isaacson.
Hi, my name is Marie LeGrand. I teach at Nixon Elementary School, and I also live in Palo Alto. I teach a kindergarten, 1st grade it's a combined special day class. We now call them specialized academic instruction classrooms. I participated in the special education review 2 years ago and last year as part of the vision committee. I believe that the vision was shared with you in June. The vision of the special education department in Palo Alto excuse me, is to foster inclusive educational climates where individuals are respected for their diversity and celebrated. Increasing class sizes in general education classes will detrimentally impact the ability of special needs students to be included. To put it simply, students with disabilities all have some type of processing disorder. To help students in the general education environment participate meaningfully, instruction must be carefully designed and delivered in an environment with minimal distractions. As we know from countless research studies and our own teaching practice, more students means more stimuli and less individualized teacher attention. Increasing class size will not help create inclusive educational climates. When considering increasing class size, the district should acknowledge campuses like Nixon. With special day classes, our teachers mainstream students for up to 49% of their school day. This means that there are already 2 to 3 more students on every class roster at schools like Nixon. I feel fortunate that the general education class teachers on my campus have been responsive to mainstreaming extra students in their class, but I worry that with increasing class size, they will not be able to include students the way that they have in the past. When considering increasing class size, the board needs to think of the impact to special needs students who are participating in those general education classes, whether they be mainstreamed or fully included. That's it.
Thank you very much. Annette Isaacson, to be followed by Erin Mershon.
Hi, I'm Annette Isaacson, and I've been teaching in Palo Alto for the last 20 years. My children went to school here, but tonight I'm talking as a resident who voted for the school parcel tax. And I'm worried about us losing our small class sizes. This year, the district told the principals that there was no money for remediation when the class sizes went above 22 at the elementary level. So when they said that there's no money, I started thinking there's a problem. This concerns me because if there are no sanctions levied for increasing class size is definitely going to rise, just as it has for the last few years since the state gave up on the class size reduction for K-3. As soon as the state removed that 20 student cap, classes increased to 21, 22, and 23 now. This is understandable. On the one hand, we got to balance the budget, but we also have to consider the consequences. My children didn't benefit from class size reduction. When they went to kindergarten in San Mateo, they had 32 kids in that class. There was no aid. As soon as the teacher started reading the story, the 6 non-English speaking kids got up and started wandering around the room, going to the bathroom. There was one child who stayed under the table almost the entire year. I had to come in and, I decided I had to volunteer. This was a wonderful kindergarten teacher. What is she going to do with 32 5-year-olds like that? I really greatly admired her, but my boys didn't get the quality education that the kids get in Palo Alto with this lower class size. There is so much small group instruction and hands-on learning that goes on nowadays, and I don't want to see us reverse the progress we've made. We've got to keep remediation so that there is an actual price associated with raising class size. Good intentions are not enough.
Thank you. Erin Mershon, to be followed by, Waynar William. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Oh, Wayne Williams. I'm sorry. I couldn't read it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Erin Mershon. I wear many hats here tonight. One as a former student of gun, the other as the sister of a gun teacher, and last but certainly not least, as a parent of 2 at Walter Hayes. My oldest daughter, Amanda, is in 2nd grade with 23 students in her class. My youngest, Leah, is in kindergarten, which I almost shouldn't tell you, has 17 in her class this year. Amanda's kindergarten class had 22, and the difference of 5 extra kids is a tangible one. I'm a parent volunteer in her class every Friday morning for learning centers. To only have 4 kids in a learning center instead of 6 or 7 is such a significance to a parent volunteer, and actually allows us to teach the kids instead of manage behavior. I had a fellow parent ask me last week if the kids who were quiet and happy in class got as much attention as the ones who caused trouble. And I turned to her and I said to her straight in the face, with only 17 kids in the class, you can bet they're getting plenty of attention in this class. Class size reduction is so important to our teachers and for our kids. Times have changed since the 80s when there were 30 students in each of my classes. The curriculum standards take more time, and technology takes more time in the classrooms. The teachers sitting behind me are working while I'm talking because they can't afford to take a break. So you can imagine my surprise when I heard that the district was talking about lifting the cap on class size yet again. Now I'm being told that that was a misunderstanding. Whether or not that's true, I'd still like to know what the plan is for enrollment growth next year. And I'd like to know what the real reason is behind the suspension of the board policy on class size reduction, and how you intend to get that past the voters who passed the parcel tax. In 2006, Lapkoff and Goblet told the board that the length of the trend suggests that the district should plan for a continuation of high migration levels. I believe that this board has failed to plan. The community taxes itself beyond belief to keep our schools at the top. This board is losing the faith of the community by its failure to plan. I think you've seen a glimpse of that based on the amount of phone calls and emails you've gotten from parents this week and from the people sitting behind me. School size and class size determines the emotional well-being of our kids. We can't close our eyes to the fact that problems of disconnected students starts well before high school. Our kids cannot be forced to pay the price for your continued failure to plan and lack of courage to lead.
Oh, sorry. Wayne Williams, to be followed by, is Jordan here now? Okay, to be followed by Jordan Hyseng.
My name is Wayne Williams. I live here in Palo Alto, and I'm a parent of a 3rd grader and a 5th grader at Fairmeadow Elementary. And we have a problem with bullying at Fairmeadow. We've only been in school since August, and already both of my daughters have been victims of bullying at our school. The first incident happened the 2nd week of school. My 3rd grade daughter was dragged across the blacktop by a 5th grade boy. The incident caused a burn and scratches on my daughter's back. My daughter went to the office, and the office staff applied an antibiotic ointment and sent my daughter back to class. We were not notified by the school about the incident. The next morning, I met with the principal of Fairmeadow. He had conducted an investigation and concluded that, yes, my daughter had been bullied. During our discussion, he also confirmed that the 5th grade boy had been involved in other bullying incidents. There was no punishment for the 5th grade boy who drugged my daughter, despite being told by the principal that he had a zero tolerance policy for bullying. The second incident happened just last week. My 5th grade daughter was slapped by another 5th grade student. My daughter was slapped by another girl. My daughter went to the office. The office staff asked what happened. My daughter said, "Someone slapped me." My daughter was given an ice pack, later went back to class, and no additional questions were asked. And once again, we were not notified of the incident by the school. The next morning, my wife and I met with the principal. He had conducted an investigation, confirmed what we already knew, and gave the girl who hit my daughter 2 days of in-school service. 2 days of in-school service after she physically hit my daughter. Bullying and hitting are unacceptable behaviors. However, receiving only 2 days of in-school service as punishment did not send the message that bullying will not be tolerated at Fairmeadow. Once again, this is in spite of being told by the principal that he has zero tolerance policy for bullying. I come to this meeting tonight to raise the awareness of the problem of bullying at Fairmeadow. We're early in the school year, and already both of my children have been victims of bullying. We've spoken to other parents have been made aware of incidents of their children being the victims of bullying at our school, and this behavior must stop. I'm working with the PTA president to educate our teachers, students, and parents about the problem. We all have to work together to stop this problem. I also come tonight asking this school board to take action. This board must educate our leadership. We have to take ownership of this issue. School leadership must hold kids accountable for their behavior, and they must demonstrate that there will be consequences when students bully other students. We owe it to our kids to offer a safe environment for learning that is free of bullying. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Jordan Hyseng, to be followed by Rachel Grunsky.
Hello. Thank you for your time this evening. I'm sorry I was late. I was actually at the gun girls volleyball. They had their teacher appreciation tonight, so I'm trying to do double duty. I just wanted to express some concern and solidarity with my elementary school colleagues about the class size possible increase. And particularly when it comes to writing, as an English teacher, I can't fathom trying to teach 28 children at the elementary school level the basics of writing. And as a high school teacher, as high school English teacher, I find that daunting. Writing takes so much time and so much individual time to get the basic building blocks, and since each year builds on the previous year, I'm concerned that our students will fall exponentially behind, and the catch-up that they have to do when it comes to the high school level of trying to grasp the building blocks that perhaps they didn't get because the class sizes have gone up and prepare them for college, we're going to have to do so much work. And with an increased class size, unfortunately, the dialogue that we're able to have with our students through returning papers, through tutorial sessions, really decreases the amount of time I'm able to spend with my students drafting thesis statements within class if the class sizes go up. And with the class sizes going up, if we still assign the same amount of papers, it'll take us longer to get it back to the students. And if we don't have an immediacy with returning their work to them, they lose sight of what they actually wrote and how they can improve on their writing. So I think it'll be really detrimental as far as the writing piece is concerned. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Rachel Grunsky, to be followed by April Song.
Hi, I teach Gun. I teach math at Gun. Wow, this has been a long day. Ugh. But I'm going to speak on behalf of the science department and how the increase in class size actually over the past several years has affected the safety in the science classrooms. The science classrooms were built to have 7 stations of 4 students, and certain labs that they do, they have some chemicals or products that, you know, you have to operate with good caution and be able to have enough eyes to make it safe. The class sizes now can be anywhere between like 31 and 34, so you're having an additional 1 to 2 stations operating in a classroom that's only supposed to have 7. So it's a huge safety issue. The current and past administration has given the science department direction as to, well, don't do those labs anymore, or, well, you probably won't get caught, just keep doing it anyway. And I feel like both of those solutions are not acceptable, and that safety is a huge issue, and I don't think we should dumb down the curriculum and the quality of science experiments because we don't have enough teachers to teach the sections. Having more sections would be helpful. Also, I'd like to address the issue of how we consider class size in the secondary level. It's kind of this vague teacher-classroom ratio of the whole entire school, which doesn't give you a picture of what is happening in each department. Some departments will have a lot smaller classes, some classrooms will be big. I have classes of 35 now this year in AB Calculus, and that's pretty packed. I was asked to have 1 more student. I said, sure, but can you tell me where to put the desk? Because I don't know where to put it. So I don't feel like there's a calculation that you can really do right now that we have. So I'm asking as a math teacher for a class size formula for the secondary level so we can get an idea of what is happening more in a classroom basis rather than just a school picture, because we don't get a classroom picture as well as you do in the elementary level. You know 4th grade classroom number 2 has X number of students. You don't know what that is at the secondary level, and I think it's some information that we should articulate and have. Thank you.
Thank you. April Song, to be followed by Drew Hadasik. Are these 2 folks here? Oh, okay. Drew? To be followed by Natalie Bivas.
Good evening. My name is Drew Hudasik, and thank you for letting me speak tonight. I'm a resident of Palo Alto. My wife, Brett, and I have 2 young children, one at Walter Hayes and one who'll be in kindergarten there next year. And we, like a lot of people in Palo Alto, were fortunate enough to choose where we wanted to live. And when we were looking at communities on the peninsula, certainly education was at the top of our list. It was one of the things that brought us to Palo Alto, and we've enjoyed living here. I just want to speak tonight on behalf of supporting keeping class size down. I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to realize how difficult it is to corral young children, and that the more attention that they can receive, the better. And so, you know, I've only been at this parenting thing for 6 years, still trying to figure it out, but I have all the respect in the world for the teachers. I thank them for what they do, and I think that prioritizing small class size is the best thing that we can do for them and for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Natalie Bivas, to be followed by Maria Jean. Oh, gosh. Help me with this. Viva Vincino? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Viva Vincino. Okay. So, go ahead, Natalie.
Hi. I'm the reading and English language teacher at Palo Verde Elementary School. I've been the reading teacher this is my 13th year. And I'm shocked to discover that the district is considering increasing class size while eliminating aides and reading specialists. We've been told for a number of years that we need to close the achievement gap, that children of color are overrepresented in special education, and now we have to implement RTI to try to correct that situation. I don't understand how we could achieve the goals that we have while having more children in the class, no aides, and no reading specialists. It can't be done. I have children in their late 20s. I used to volunteer and be a substitute at their elementary school. In the late 80s and early 90s, there were children in 4th and 5th grade who couldn't read, and nobody knew it. There were just too many children in the class and no intervention. We can't meet our goals with the increased class size and eliminating the support the teachers have. And that's pretty much all I have to say. It can't be done. It's hollow to have these goals of closing the gap and in beginning RTI. There won't be the support to follow through.
Thank you. Maria Jean Filivicento. But maybe you can say your name when you come up. Correct my horrible pronunciation.
Hi, thanks for the time. It's Maria Jeannie Villavicencio. That's fine, I'm accustomed to that. So I'm a parent at Addison Elementary School. My daughter is just entered kindergarten. I just wanted to speak to the teachers being supported with a standard of living pay increase. I know this is tough times, but if we're talking about budgets and you're going to be reevaluating or shifting money, that's also considered. I've been a marriage family therapist intern for the past 7 years, and having volunteered my time, I know continued education is very important, and want to make sure that our teachers are supported and continuing their excellent presentation to the kids.
Thank you. Sarah Cody, and do we have any more cards? Is there another card coming this way? Okay, Sarah Cody, to be followed by somebody else.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Cody. I'm a lifelong Palo Alto resident and a product of Palo Alto schools. And I'm now also a parent of a 3rd grader and a kindergartner. And I'm here to urge you not to increase class sizes. In my day job, I work in public health, and I now realize that the most important thing we can do for health is to support education. It's really the foundation of everything that we do. And in the classroom, I think that class size is one of the foundations of a good education. It was true for me. I think it's true for my children. I don't think it's fair to the children nor the teacher to increase the class size because the teacher isn't able to provide the support and dedication to each child that the teacher deserves and that the kids deserve. So I know that the parcel tax that we all supported and that passed overwhelmingly gives you a little wiggle room, and I urge you not to wiggle on this one. Keep our class sizes the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe Young, and I believe that's our last card. If there's anyone else who would like to speak, please get a card in immediately. Oh, wait, there's... Oh, April Zong. Okay, so it's Joe Young to be followed by April Zong. Thank you. That's okay. You after Joe.
My name is Joe Young, and I'm a teacher at 2nd grade teacher at Duveneck Elementary School. I'm going to first say that usually when it comes to union stuff or board stuff, I don't really pay attention because I just say, you know, I just want to teach, right? In this case about increasing class sizes, this brings me out. So I wanted to share with you what I wrote. I'm enrolled in a master's program, and it's the 2nd year of the School Leadership Master Program, part of an administrative credential. And usually when we're sharing in the classes, I'm proud to say I'm a Palo Alto teacher. And they're always so jealous. They're saying, oh, I wish I can go to Palo Alto. And then the biggest comment that they say is, because you guys do so well, you guys have small class sizes. And so the thing that I wanted to say is that certainly there are more reasons to our success, right? It's professional development, collaboration, sound educational and ethical decisions, but smaller class sizes is definitely one factor to it. There are 3 reasons why I would say, or three benefits to smaller class sizes: staff, both students, staff, and then as a district altogether. For the students, of course, they get, as it's been mentioned, individualized instruction, more attention. For the staff, we can ensure the staff overall in the school, ensure the safety of all students on passing periods, during disaster drills, in a case of an actual disaster, and just during all the school hours and beyond. And then, of course, for the district, as the students get the individualized instruction, the effective elements of instruction, their understanding, their depth of understanding increases, test scores go up, and we continue to be that lighthouse district that we claim to be. With increasing class sizes, I'm afraid that we no longer will be seen in the world, in the nation, as that lighthouse district. So again, there are many reasons for our success, one of which I feel is definitely smaller class sizes. Thank you.
Thank you. April will be our last speaker unless there's somebody else in the audience I missed. Okay. Okay, Heather, after you speak, can you fill out a card? Okay, great. Why don't you come up to the podium and speak?
Hello, everyone. I'm Heather Benz, representing Silray Incorporated. So we're here today to talk a little bit about solar for the Palo Alto Unified School District. So first of all, just an overview of solar. We could put it on the roofs of all of the school buildings. There's plenty of school building rooftops to go around. Additionally, you can have solar-covered carports for car shading. So those are two options. Solar can save your school district money, and as we heard today, you know, there's always more uses for spare money, and saving money is always an advantage for a school district or for anyone. Solar can also sort of increase your reputation. We're right here in Silicon Valley, in the heart of the solar industry, really. This is where all the innovation's happening, and having solar will really sort of boost your reputation as a great school district. And finally, you can also integrate solar into your curriculum and sort of make it part of the science and have that hands-on experience for your students. If you choose to go for solar through a power purchase agreement, there is no upfront cost for you. No upfront cost. Through a power purchase agreement, there's an independent power producer who owns the panels and sells the power back to you at a rate that's pre-agreed upon, usually for a 20 to 25-year term, and it's usually lower than what you're paying on the utility rates. One reason a PPA is beneficial, aside from no upfront cost, is that it can hedge against utility price increases. For example, PG&E on average over the past 30 years has increased commercial utility rates by almost 7% a year. So lots of savings in a PPA. So solar for school districts has been really beneficial for other school districts that have already made this leap. For example, San Jose School District installed a solar system, and through a PPA, they're estimated to save $25 million over the life of the system. Milpitas School District is saving 22% on their annual energy costs after installing solar across a number of school district buildings. And Pittsburgh School District is saving 66% on their electricity costs, and their system saved them $1 million in the first year alone. So those are just a couple case studies. Our company, Silray, is founded right here in Palo Alto. We're 100% women and minority owned, and we're a turnkey solar developer, which means we can provide you all aspects of your solar solution, from the initial site design, EPC contracting. We can provide financing. We can be your power provider through PPA, and we can operate and maintain the final system. We have plenty of past customers. Our most notable is the U.S. Coast Guard, so we have experience working with governments and government entities. Key engineers within our company have over 30 years of solar industry experience. Yeah, so we hope that you'll consider, oh, and most importantly, we were just named the 2011 National Minority Retail Energy Firm of the Year by the U.S. Department of Commerce. So we hope you'll consider solar for the Palo Alto School District. And if you have any questions, you can, ask me or April. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, please, we don't, if you could fill in a card. Yes, yes, go ahead, Dr. Scott.
I'll just ask that Mr. Williams see Dr. Young after we're done here, or when you get a chance, if you could make contact with Mr. Williams.
So I just want to reiterate that we are not permitted by law to discuss anything that wasn't on the agenda tonight. So we listened to what you had to say, but we can't discuss it tonight. So we are going to go to our next board item. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for coming out tonight. Thank you for caring so much about our kids. And we need to go on to our next agenda item, but thank you all for coming out. So our next agenda item is board operations. And does anybody on the board have any board operations that they would like to share? Okay, Dr. Skelly, go ahead.
One of the issues that's come up on a regular basis, I actually had a request from a board member about televising the SPSA meetings. If you know, we have not done that as a practice, and so I'm interested in what the board wants to do. We've had some internal conversations. Obviously, SPSA process is interesting for you. You're interested. I think we talk about it quite a bit to our community. There's some, I think, board or principals have an interest in meetings that are informal conversations. Yet recording those meetings is also of interest. So I need some direction from you. I think staff is willing to do whatever. We've had success the way it is, but we also understand the interest around transparency and other things.
So we can't really discuss it, can
it's
we?
It's just a question of operation. So to me, you just
it's
give
an
me some
operational
direction.
question? Okay.
You can just give me your opinion. We can come back to it.
Okay. I would love to have them televised because...
so I'm not thinking television,
not tonight.
but to record them.
Right.
Okay.
I would love to, just because I think it's it's actually fabulous for people to see how much work is being done at each of the sites. If we're the only ones who get that opportunity, it seems sort of a shame.
Unless they're easily accessible, I wouldn't bother, frankly. So unless you tape them and are able to somehow, unless for all of us we want it, I probably won't go back and listen to them unless they're easily accessible. And so if you're just recording, for me, I still think this is one that people should come to and be involved with. So I'm not opposed to it. It's just not high on my list.
Okay.
Did you have a cost or not?
I wouldn't. We would use the media center in some sort of similar fashion that we do now. So
I'd be interested if we did it. I'd be interested in seeing if the media center website can tell us how many people actually watch it.
So we do it for a year.
Try it. Yeah, I'm okay with trying it and seeing if there's sufficient viewership. If there isn't, then I don't. It doesn't matter a lot to me either way. If nobody's watching it, then there's not much point.
I think recording it would be of interest, generally from the lens that I think there's valuable information that's presented there that would be useful to us as a communication tool throughout the year, so more as an access point for community members. I agree. I wouldn't imagine a lot of people would be viewing it live or necessarily through MCMC, but I could imagine if it interests staff having vignettes posted on the website or available to parents and community members. That's the value I would see.
So I have definitely asked in the past if we could record it in some way, because I do think it's one of the best communication tools we have. If we think back to the board meeting we had at the end of June, where we corralled the secondary principals to come in the evening, and of course it was recorded because it was part of a regular board meeting. That was one of the most powerful, successful presentations we've had. So I think that a similar kind of communication occurs during these SIPSA meetings, and I think they're really valuable. But I was going to suggest actually the same approach that Ms. Mitchell did, which is we don't necessarily have to post all of the meeting, but sort of in the interests of what Ms. Townsend and Mr. Thomas are saying, there are certain portions of it that are particularly valuable. And if we're able to figure out who can do it, if the media center can do it without too much time and expense, to be able to choose some of those most valuable, most worthwhile bits to be able to record and post on our website, I think that'd be really helpful.
Can I just say one more thing? I don't think most of our parents have any idea of all the fantastic things that are going on at the sites, and then we get to hear about them. I just think it's such a wonderful opportunity for us to share these great things. And I actually don't Gosh, I think these meetings are only 2 hours. They actually fly by because it's interesting and it's relevant for a lot of, I have a lot of members of the community ask me about things that are going on. If they went to these meetings, they would get it. But many people work. They can't come over in the middle of the day for 2 hours. So I like the idea of recording that, making them available.
So can I make a proposal, since we don't have unanimity here? What if we tape it? We see how much it costs. We see how many people watch it, and then we'll make a determination whether we continue to do this. I don't want to change the format of the meetings because I think board members have been happy, and I think principals have left feeling appreciated for the work. So, we'll have to work hard to not mug for the camera or anything like that. But you're used to being on TV, so hopefully it won't change our tone any. And then, in terms of picking out vignettes, that's a whole set of work, but at least we could do it if we wanted to. Right, so we would just run the whole thing. I mean, that would be my thought, unless some kernel comes up that we really wanted to put on the front page, but we would use it. We'd have the media center. So we'll work on this and communicate to you, but that'll be our tentative plan. See how it goes.
Thank you. I think at least one other person had a board operation. Ms. Townsend?
Board report.
Okay.
Is that fine? I just want to give to my colleagues, and I know Mr. Tom has already received this, and actually Ms. Klausner probably received most of this last year when she represented us on the Santa Clara County School Boards Association, which this year I am representing along with Mr. Tom. But there was an updated presentation at our last meeting on the Moreland School District and their incredible work in Moreland, and they took in 2006 they took a 604 API score, and in 2011 brought it up to an 813, and it was really inspiring, the work that they did to make that happen in a socioeconomically disadvantaged area, high Latino population, EL, and the work that they did to bring up those scores and had some impact on the middle schools as well. And of course, people want the quick and dirty on what does it take to make that happen. And I just want to highlight the Board of Trustees' role as they saw it was to articulate priority. They had at least 1 or 2 new board members come on, and it's not like she took responsibility. She said there was just a turnover, that you use the energy from that turnover to do it. Support bold staffing changes. They had a new principal. Again, she said the old principal was good. It was just a new energy, direct resources to support new methods. She said frequent board reports and frequent site visits. And I found it interesting that the entire board visited every classroom in that school district, and not together, so there wasn't a Brown Act violation, but reaching out in a major way into the classrooms and reaching out to community volunteers. And then I must point out that there's also a list of the different materials that they used and the process by which they help students, including flexible grouping and what that means. And you'll see in the notes that they used everything from curriculum maps to benchmark assessments, learning goals, guided reading and standards-based centers, small group instruction, flex grouping, and standards-based teaching. So, and then I noticed they also had their programs called Board Math, Board Language, Mind Research Institute, Read 180, and a reading intervention with literacy specialists. So I'm going to pass that on to our staff as well. You know, our staff does great jobs, but it was pretty amazing, the turnaround that this school district did. And, you know, sometimes we look elsewhere to get good ideas. So I just wanted the rest of my colleagues, and like I said, Mr. Tom and Ms. Klauster probably were aware of, I at least know that Mr. Tom was aware of this, but to bring it to everybody's attention.
Thank you.
Hey, I just want to mention, I assume this is the same program that was submitted for a Hoffman Award at the county level last year, and they were one of the finalists. We actually have, I think, their application somewhere in our offices in the, what is now, I guess, Dr. Young's office, but it was our secondary, I guess it was it's now Dr. Milliken's office, but our former secondary ed director reviewed a lot of these programs, and she had the opportunity to see this, and I think we actually have the file somewhere in the district. I also wanted to point out that they use Read, among other things, they use Read 180, which I'd heard a lot about last year, and we are using that now in our district as well.
Yeah, actually, I had, she was presenting, Karen Whipple, the trustee, was presenting about Anderson Elementary School. The Hoffman Award was for their middle school, to which they brought similar strategies. But they did win an award from the California School Boards Association for the elementary program. They got a Golden Bell, and they also got an award from the National School Boards Association, which is quite amazing. The highest level honor they provide. And I had the great fortune to actually visit the school to verify the program for the Golden Bell, and it is truly astounding. I mean, this one school was the poorest performing school, the most disadvantaged students in the, well, yeah, they had the poorest API score in all of Santa Clara County, certainly within that one district, and they turned it around. It moved 200 API points within 3 years. It's a very remarkable school, and it wasn't just one thing, it was a lot of things, as Ms. Townsend mentioned. I mean, they had very effective leadership. Everything was aligned. Everybody was on board with it, and but I will mention too that the flexible grouping strategy they used was not like what we've talked about for our district, which would be primarily for math. They used it for English language arts, which was most appropriate for them because they had such a high percentage of ELL students and very transitory student populations as well. And so that way, whenever a student entered the district, they would naturally go to an appropriate level for English language arts. So that was very effective for them. I remember passing a lot of the materials along to Ms. Davis when she was here after doing the visit, but I don't know where that went. But I think there are some very good ideas that that would be applicable in certain areas that that we have that might share some similar characteristics. So thank you for sharing that, Ms. Townsend.
And it was a pleasure to serve with you last couple weeks ago. That's really a fun group. So and Mr. Tom mentioned that the August the Santa Clara County and San Mateo County are meeting in a fall dinner on October 26th or 8th, whatever. There's some conflict.
A Wednesday.
So we're hoping everybody can turn out because John Fensterwald will be the guest speaker.
26th, yeah. It sounds like it'll be a good topic.
Yeah.
Ms. Mitchell?
Oh, I have other stuff.
Oh, Mr. Tom has other stuff. Does anyone else have? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Tom.
I was at the PTA council meeting recently, and a big part of their meeting was talking about annual goals. And I was very impressed by how they talked about it. I mean, they have 3 to 5 year strategic goals, and they had aligned annual goals for that. And each one had objectives and owners. And so it was a lengthy process for them, but it looked like it was very worthwhile. The other thing is this last weekend, as the API director at large for CSBA, I attended the Unity Conference, which was in San Diego. It was put on by the Latino and African American School Board Members Associations, and it was good. There were a lot of good sessions, actually, even though it's not as large as the CSBA conference. And I went to one on the disproportionate identification of African American and Latinos, which is relevant to us, inequities of our school finance system, and then one on electronic communication and the Brown Act, and I passed along those slides to all of you. It was really a good chance to learn from other board members, connect with other board members, and hear about the challenges that a lot of our most disadvantaged students face. So I'm glad I was able to go.
Ms. Mitchell, do you have anything? No. Ms. Klesner?
And I'm going to invite Mr. Thompson to chime in. So we did have another school city liaison committee meeting since our last board meeting, and I'm looking over my notes here. I think the most important thing, there was an update, as we often have, on teen mental health, and so we heard from Rob DeGos and Amy Drolette from our district about the work that they've been doing, and that they're, I mean, there are a lot of things, and I'm sure it'll be in the minutes, but they're certainly pushing to have all of their collaborative organizations signing MOUs, and I guess we'll have a new one for this year. I guess it's not good, but we'll see when that comes forward. But on another topic, the city council members mentioned that the city council is thinking of setting up an official committee that will focus on regional housing needs allocation and ABAG. And that this committee of the city council would start in January and have an emphasis on transportation and housing and jobs, but most importantly that they may in fact want to invite a board member, so one of us, to join as a representative.
So
we'll be hearing more from them.
Okay, well, if that happens, if anyone here has an interest in it, you should please let people know. Let me know if you have an interest in this, and that way when they ask, we'll have a sense.
Ms. Klausner did ask about how it differed from the TAG org group, and what was evident was that there is some work to be done to clarify the goals and the roles of the group, and and particularly for the board member who attends.
Fantastic. We'll await that. Do you have other items? We have been getting minutes for that meeting.
Yes.
Are you going to be sending minutes around?
Well, no, I think once I'm assuming the business office would do it. I'll just point out one more thing that was interesting that they mentioned, the city council mentioned, was that ABAG is moving towards taking quality of life into account when they allocate housing to different communities. And so they're actually looking at things like district API scores, but perhaps not in the way we might want to think about it, because the way they look at it more is that, well, gee, if you're doing well, you have the capacity to handle more students. Yeah. So in essence, it could mean that they would allocate more housing units to Palo Alto.
I have one very quick thing, and that is that Ms. Mitchell and I will be meeting with some folks at Stanford this week, and we'll send along whatever we... Oh, and of course Dr. Skelly, and whoever else he is bringing with him.
Dr. Galton is coming with us.
Great. So meeting adjourned, 9 o'clock. This might be a new record. And thank you.